So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Well, keep conversing on social media using EHA 2020. Well, it is now time. We're talking about 5 days of power-packed panels, 180 plus speakers, 100 plus awards, and it's happening daily from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. August 31st to September 4th. Well, moving on to our next session, let's take a bow to the ladies as with our next session on being a woman in Indian hospitality. Well, we're talking about Anshu Sarin, Chief Executive Officer, Keys Hotel, Benita Sharma, Area Manager, North Luxury Hotels and GM, ITC Maurya, Kanika Hasrat, General Manager, Taj 3 Centers, Gurugram, Suman Gahlot, General Manager, Aloft, New Delhi, Aerocity, Sunaina Sharma, Manerker, the General Manager, Grand Mercure, Mysore. We've got Meena, Bhatia, Vice President and GM, Meridien, New Delhi, Seema Roy, Area Managing Director, South Asia, Middle East and Africa, Preferred Hotels and Resorts. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got Bhuvnesh Khanna, CEO, BW Communities, who's just joined us, and he's going to be telling you more about our incredible power-packed panel. Well, what a great panel this is, Bhuvnesh.
So why don't you bring in the panel and then we'll start talking. And Bhavna, thanks a pile. You've been a brilliant moderator. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So yes, as you can see, Bhuvnesh, our incredible panels just joined in. Thank you so much, ladies. Over to you, Bhuvnesh.
There you are. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello, Bhuvnesh.
Hi,
Good
Bhuvnesh.
morning.
Good afternoon.
How nice to see you all. This is my pink panel and I see that on Kanika. Pink it is. Yeah. And a phenomenal panel. This is a show that I've always looked forward to. Good to see you, Anshu. Anshu, you may want to pull up slightly. Pull us or again.
Better?
This is much better. Yeah. All right. Good to see you, Benita. Good to see you, Sunaina. Good to see you, Suman. Meena ji. Yeah. How nice to see you. Now, let me tell you about this show. I had a mother, right? I still have her as my mother, even though she's not there. A mother-in-law, a grandmother, two grandmothers. One I never saw. Many sisters, no blood sisters, but I have 8 of them who tie me Rakhi, right? Not one real sister, but they're more real than real is. And a father to a daughter, an uncle to many nieces. One day I shall wear pink, right? Because pink is in my mind, in my heart. And I look up to you all because I wouldn't say you're more men than others. You're more women than men, right? If this world could be handed over to women, I think they will. You guys are phenomenal professionals, right? So you do a good job of it. After all, I grew up in the hands of a mother. I was fed by a mother. What better ode than to be able to do a show on women? This is my second one, right? I loved the first one. I love this one too. I wish I can do more, and I will, right? So I won't take much. I mean, none of you need an introduction. In fact, well, Anshu should do that honor. Anshu had met years ago, along with Sanjay Sethi, who was then our boss and who was heading Keys. Now she heads Keys today, right? Anshu is a young CXO, and I've had her in mind when I wanted to do the show that she should anchor. Look, BW Hotelier doing the EHA in its 5th year was a challenge, but challenges are what drive me. A kick drives me even better, and I had both, right? So here we are with our 5th EHA, and my first show with all of you, right? I haven't done another, I've never done one before. And today I also have Benita, which is so nice, right? Nice to have you all. Thank you, Anshu. Over to you. Please take on the show.
Good, great. So, hi everyone. As Bhuvnesh said, my name is Anshu Sarin, and over the next hour and a half and a little I think we're going to talk to these amazing ladies over here, have some great conversation. And I urge everyone in our audience to please ask us any questions, any aspects that we would not have covered in this session, or that we're not covering as we go along. So, you all heard the introductions, and I'm going to do it one more time. There is Benita Sharma, who you all heard is the Area General Manager North. And I can go through the entire list. There is Kanika with us, there's Sunaina. So very often, we exchange visiting cards when we're meeting people. And many a times I have heard this, where people give you their visiting card and say, this is who I am, or this is me. And food for thought, I very often wondered that, what you represent, who you represent, is a very, very integral and a big part of you. But it's not the whole you, right? So I feel there's a lot more to each of us, gender agnostic. That's about us, and that's not just said in our visiting card. So the introductions that we've just given for all of you ladies is a visiting card introduction. I would like all of you to tell us in a snapshot, who is the real you? What are you all about? And it could be anything. It could be just speaking about yourself. It could be something quirky. Anything that describes you as a person, please. So I'll start with Benita.
So who am I? I'm Benita. I like to believe that there's just one Benita. I'm called Benita because I have a Bengali father, and for some of you who may not know, there is the alphabet V is missing in the Bengali dialect. So it's always B and not V. And that's why I am Benita. So it has nothing to do with a foreign name. It's very Indian. It's a Benita become a Benita. It's supposed to mean humility. And a lot of people who know me say that I'm anything but humble. I'd like to believe I am humble, but very few people can see that in me. I can see that I am a mother to start with, not so good a wife. I am a daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law, after several years, now tells me I'm the best daughter-in-law, which I would not like to believe. I'm a daughter as well, and a big dog lover. So I'd like to say that I have babies who are dogs. And that's what I am. I'm a hotelier, have never known anything else but hotels, have never known any other company but I can see hotels. If that gives you any insights into what I am Benita Sharma. Thank you.
That's super. So when I first spoke with Benita, even I said that, do I pronounce it Benita or is it a V that became a B? And even I was thank you. And I learned. So over to you, Kanika.
Hello, everyone. Kanika. That's the name of Fauji daughter, hotelier's wife. Also hotelier myself, a mom who struggles to be a mom. Someone who struggles even with her plants, a person who enjoys people, and my passion invariably is helping and seeing people in my team grow. I've always been someone who moved careers, moved lines within hospitality. I love to learn something new every day, and my aim every year, and 2020 we failed, is to do something new as a family every year. So last year we did a little bit of scuba diving. My daughter got her second level training. I did my first. And this year we didn't manage anything. So 2020 is still pending.
And for many of us. But that's awesome. Amazing. Scuba diving, yeah? That's cool. All right. So Sunaina, over to you.
Thank you, Anshu. So I am, I'm one of the sisters in my family. I've got two sisters, brought up in a very, very simple Punjabi family. My mother was a teacher and my father was, had his business. I think my family has been my strength. What I am today, I think the credit goes to my family. It's just the culture that they brought me up is the reason where I am today. And then, of course, I got married to a Goan, which is a complete contrast. And, it was something really, really different for me. And a very, very well supported husband. And I think I give my credit to my second family now for where I am. Personally, I love trying new things. I like to do, new things, and I'm very passionate about hospitality. I've been there for 20 years, but I think every day is a new learning for me. I would like to do much more. I think it's just a beginning for me. There are so many things that I like to explore. It's just traveling around the world. I have been traveling quite a bit. I was on cruise ships, so I traveled pretty much all across the world. So, but I think now India is where I want to experience a lot more in India, because I think there's so much more in India that we can explore. So that's in a nutshell what I am. But I'm so excited to be a part of such a magnificent pink forum, if I may call it. And thank you for inviting me on this forum. Thank you so much.
So that's amazing. That's a super combo, huh? Punjabi Goan combo. I love Goa.
Yes.
And I'm a Punj, so love both parts of it. Awesome. Yes, Meena, over to you.
Hi, I'm Meena Bhatia. I belong to the baby boomer generation, but I grew up at a time when it was difficult for women to be hoteliers. But I have dirtied my hands right from the lowest ranks of hoteliering to reach where I am. I'm a proud and a passionate hotelier, and I think I was only born to be a hotelier. If anyone was to make a film on hotels now, my life would be a perfect life for it. So I've loved every bit of doing what I have done. I have raised a daughter, but I've never had any kind of gender agnostic goals for myself. I look at myself not only as a mother, but as a parent, equally as my husband does. I look at myself not as a daughter, but as a child, and I will take on all the responsibilities that children are supposed to. So I very much actually embrace the roles like any other person in this world would be, because I don't set a gender-specific role. I brought up a daughter not with the ambition of being a super mom, but with an ambition of being a superhuman being. I set up a house, not always setting and taking my daughter's failures as my own failures, but very much set up an example and a good example. And today, when I look at my daughter who follows my lifestyle and my work ideology, I do feel proud, because I feel that I set up an atmosphere which set a good example for her. That's what
Respect.
I am.
Absolute respect. I've heard a lot about you even when I started hoteliering. Well, not started, I was very well within it, but absolute respect for you. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Suman, over to you. The rock star from the Aerocity.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Suman. Born into a hardcore Fauji family, of course. Dad being a great disciplinarian, as if that wasn't enough. Married a Fauji who was his student, and of course, double the dose for the life. And one thing I'm extremely particular, and that has held me in good stead, is my own sense of discipline. And of course, journalism is what I studied, and hotels just happened. But I loved every second of this profession, and I'm here to stay. And I said, whatever is takes. I mean, if today somebody is to ask that, would you like to trade off, or would you have chosen something else? And my answer would be capital no. So I so much love the work I do. I'm extremely passionate about, I've said it earlier and I say it now, that my biggest joy is to see my people grow. And I believe in cultivating family at work, and that's what something I've been very successful. So each assignment gives me an extended family, and I'm super proud to be a part of them. For now, that's enough.
So I'm going to take some lessons on discipline from you. If there's anything, I lack discipline. So I'm going to come to you for that.
Anytime.
Thank you. Seema, over to you.
Hi, thanks Anshu, and thanks Bhuvnesh for having us all over here. I think it's great to be a part of such a tremendous panel. As an introduction, Anshu, I think like everyone, like you actually said, I'd also probably have to take some tips on discipline. I'm pretty bad at that. But as an individual, over and above what I do, I'd say, well, since everyone's talking about family background, I'm a Punjabi married to a Bengali, so it's a different combination, but quite similar to some of us here. Mother of two, a daughter, a wife, partner, and I'd like to add a professional. I think, like everyone else, pretty passionate about what I do, self-driven. I used to describe myself, and I think I like to have fun in whatever I'm doing, like to enjoy what I'm doing, whether it's at work, whether it's at home. I think it's very, very important to have fun along the way. So I do that, but I do need tips on how to self-discipline myself and still keep
Suman's
that bit
got her
going.
hands full
Thank
with
you.
us, so yeah, we will.
I know.
If you weren't, I have something to say. If you you didn't have the discipline and you don't practice, I don't think we would have been seeing you here. So you don't need much of it.
Amen. Someone tell that to my family. They won't believe you. So that's awesome. So we have such diversity. We have such successful women over here. So we're going to jump right into the session. And just to kind of set some expectations around this discussion. So this is not a male bashing session, ladies and gentlemen who are listening in to us. I think this is a forum where we're going to share our experiences. And if there is something that we can influence, that we can mentor some of the young ladies and gentlemen who are here, then that's great. I think we'll all kind of agree with it that globally we're at this cusp of revolution for diversity, not just about gender, but about gender, race, and a whole lot. And I think as just being women, if we are able to simply just by being women and sharing our experiences with everybody, we can be a reminder that if you have compassion, if you have humility, which a lot of you do have, even though you claim that you don't, and you have ambition, it can all coexist and you can still be very successful. And I think if you're able to achieve them, then that's a great place for us to start. So I'm going to take something from what was recently published in one of the leading dailies, and I'm reading from there this excerpt, and I'd like to hear your views about it. So India presents a complex global paradox to most observers. There are a lot more women who are enrolling in schools and colleges, but there's still not enough in workplaces. There are women who are voting in great numbers, even more so than before, but they're not enough in our legislative assemblies and the parliament. And just taking the thought forward, when in the start of our industry, right, there are 50% of the people who join in are women. And I'm not just meaning hospitality as hotels, but the adjacent industries as well. And yet you have sub 10% at leadership roles. Why? What's your view on that? And I'd start it with Kanika, but please, everybody, feel free to pitch in. So, Kanika.
So you're absolutely right. Honestly, in school, when you look at the averages of students, girls do much better in school. Lots more girls, I guess they're more conscientious. They work harder or they prove their grades, but somewhere as they grow in the industry, or even, I won't even say hospitality, any industry, the number of women dwindles down towards middle management. Something over the years which I really realized was the balance between home and work is where we lose the plot. The support system in India traditionally has been that joint family bit, but a woman's job is not being considered as important as the man's. So who to bring up the family, who had to give up their career or not give as much focus on being a professional is unfortunately the woman. So at the middle management level is where we tend to lose a lot of our brilliant resources. And these are people who know their job. They maybe struggle to bring up a child, don't have the health, the home care, don't have daycare, or financially the need is there, is not, they don't contribute as much as maybe the husband. So they tend to take the back seat. So yeah, it's true. And I do believe all of us in our individual roles do inspire a lot of women to come to the forefront. I do believe also as women leaders, we give a little bit more empathy and support because we know where they come from. And I know when we were chatting about this earlier, all of us had in our own hotels more women than some other hotels or our own organizations. So yeah, it is a challenge, but I think individually all of us can start propping some more up.
Sunaina, would you also think that there is a middle rung deficit that happens, that a lot of women join an industry and then somewhere in the middle rung, there is a gap that happens and, therefore the number of people that actually go up are not really in the same proportion?
No, I completely agree with what Benita Kanika mentioned about that it is difficult or it is a little slower when it comes for women to move up the ladder from a mid-managerial position to going upwards. Like for example, but there's been a lot of change that I want to also talk about from where I began, which was about 20 years ago. There was a glass ceiling, and which did exist, where we had to push ourselves down and say that we have to work harder, we have to give up our commitments, whether it's family or personal. On the contrary, now, of course, we are living in a rapidly changing world with women are also looking at following dreams and passions. And that's the reason more and more women have started working, not just in hospitality, but I think in all organizations. What I feel is, hospitality has also started acknowledging and appreciating women. And, they've understood that we need to start creating a culture to give opportunities to women. So, for example, if I talk about Accor, what we are promoting is gender diversity. And it's not about everyone's duty, regardless of their own gender. With programs like RISE, where we have 2 eyes in a RISE, which means men and women. And it's all about being equal. And, promoting not just about women, but also about diversity and inclusions within the network. It could be disability, it could be culture and generations, I feel truly that women are moving forward. I think what's important now is to take that leap. For us, it's a responsibility that we also have in encouraging women. I think it's a platform for us to let them know that we are living in a different world. We need to be confident. We need to, get away of these inhibitions. I think women can work parallelly and do as much better. And I think we should stop bashing ourselves down by saying we want to compete. I think just do the best that we can. And that's what is important, I feel. And I feel that, we may now be just 10% in the women leadership, but I think we are advancing towards creating a balance in the near future, which looks very, very positive.
So, Suman, do you see in your company, in your hotel, a lot of women not just joining and then exiting, but going up the ladder as well? Do you see a lot of that happening?
Yes, Anshu. So, in this, in my organization, in fact, surprisingly, there are a lot more women than what I generally see in the hotel companies. And of course, let's go back a little bit in time. Why the leadership roles and women at the senior positions are lesser than men, maybe? Because 20 years back, not many saw hotels and hospitality as an industry. And the social fiber of our, society was in such a, it was in a way not very easily accepted in hospitality industries because long journey, odd hours, and the challenges that it entails. At the same time, of course, women have forayed into these jobs, and at the same time I see, and I've of course seen both the organizations. I worked for earlier Taj Group of Hotels and now Marriott International. Both the companies give equal opportunities to women, and as the years go by, because somebody who started a career 10 years back of course would leave, as Kanika said, they leave halfway because there are challenges, and it's not the industry per se which stops them in any way. It is the personal choice. And more than personal choice, sometimes it's the circumstances, because to keep a job like this, which is extremely demanding, you need to have an extremely supportive family and to some extent a privileged surrounding that accepts the kind of job and the content that it brings in. So currently we see, and as the years go by, we see a surge in women taking leadership roles, and there are more and more around. In fact, Marriott, you see every place, you see the marketing head, sales head, even in finances. And in my own particular hotel, I was sharing with some of our colleagues here that there are about 6 heads of department, the complete excom, and in roles like a finance, in roles, let's say in engineering. So these are extraordinary roles, and we are happy to have them. And of course, they bring in a lot more value. I mean, I wouldn't say that they bring any less or equal, but they're very strong in what they do. In fact, their personal commitment is much, much higher. And of course, I've worked with a lot of gentlemen, as you know, and we feel that it's a good blend to have the right mix. I mean, it's good to have both it has to have equal split for any organization to succeed. And in our platform, it's very, very comfortable numbers.
That's really great. And so, Meena, how do you see it? Like, you've gone through the whole journey, and like you said, that you started off way back into hotelering at a grassroots level. You've had different exposures of different companies. What was your experience like? Like, what did you think was the single thing that was there in you that got you through all of this?
So, our industry is not really very easy for returning moms, especially because, we have long hours, shifts, and different duties. So I think that is something that we all should look at to make it more comfortable, because like in the other industries, they have programs for returning mothers and things like that. But more than anything else, I also think it is the personal commitment of an individual. I think it is your respect for your own self and for your job. You create an atmosphere where you value yourself, your own job, because it is not about, I earn little, so it's okay if I give up my career. It's about I do a job well and I can grow in this career. So therefore, I must continue. That is the kind of commitment, and that is what I would urge the young generation, who's coming into this business, that please don't give up just because we have a difficult years, because I think learn to create that respect in your own mind, in the minds of your family, for your own children. I think it is a good thing to value yourself, your careers, and continue. It is a little difficult initially, but I think everybody understands. I think women are respected, and when they return to jobs after having children and when they're bringing up kids, I think managers and leadership in the company completely understand. And I think we've at least created an atmosphere where we will give that consideration to our employees so that they can continue their job.
That's really great. At some point of time, some of you mentioned things about culture, and I think some bit that I've read and a lot that Benita mentioned the other day, it appears that ITC is culturally very driven to embrace women and to encourage women. Benita, would you like to share more on that?
I would first like to talk about why we have 10% women. And as a culture, as you look at more and more organizations, they're all turning a lot like ITC when it comes to giving, if not equal, better opportunity to women. In the hospitality sector especially, women come with a particular persona of being more caring. Whether that holds true or not, that's a different topic which we can discuss later. Having said that, I believe what happens is, if you look at all of us, rich, poor, middle class, all of us have a belief system that the woman of the house holds the home. The woman is the caregiver. The man is the bread earner. And more and more, and there are people where the man and the women may earn equally, but right from childhood, everybody believes the woman brings the add-ons. It's the man who holds financial stability in the house. Right or wrong, and there will be exceptions, but I'm saying generally that's the deep-rooted belief. So what happens is when women decide to have children, to get married, that belief system is ingrained in them. They that's where they get the roots of guilt. Many years ago, when I joined ITC, we used to have a program which was run by the ISISD. I don't know, some of you all may know about it. It was by psychologists and counselors who would talk about women in careers and how they would deal with their guilt vis-a-vis children. What is important for us to ingrain in the new generation is you can have a very successful career and you can still give that time. And when I talk about time, I'm not talking about how we grew up where the mother was always in the kitchen creating goodies for a child, believing that was her way of bringing up the child. What is important is to remember whatever time you spend with your children, it should be quality time. So, and that takes away the guilt. So as I once before mentioned, you'll find maximum women leave the organization during examination time. Just before the examination, they realize the child doesn't know how to do 2 into 2, and all the child's inadequacies, all the problems they have, if they have in their marriage, is always taken on by themselves. Women tend to believe, because of the belief system, that they are not good enough. And that needs to change. They must understand giving quality time to your children is more important than staying with them 24 hours. Making sure your child or your spouse is given that freedom to reach their potential is more important than hanging on in the house and nagging your husband when he comes back saying you didn't do XYZ for me. That is what is very, very important. So as a culture, if you ask me, and you all can look around, I was very fortunate to be with ITC Hotel. But if you look around you, a lot of organizations want to employ women. They want to, and they are even open to when they say, my child is sick and I need to stay at home. They give you that leave. They give you that leeway. It's our own guilt, our own demons that we need to get out of. So and there will always be people around you. Unfortunately, the women who actually get women to feel more guilty, saying, I'm at home, I made XYZ for the child. I was at the door when the child came home. I opened the door, gave the baby, the child a big hug. See how secure my child is. And then when career women turn around and say, I was not there to hug my child. For me, I remember one day I had misgivings and I said, I have 2 children. I don't remember my child falling. If he fell, the sister would pick him up, wipe his knees, and go to his grandmother and say he had fallen, and he would have his grandmother to hug him. I don't remember that. And I thought that maybe my children would not grow up into successful adults. And I'm so proud as a mother to see my children do much better than what I'm doing. Both my husband and I realized that it was the quality time, it was the kind of lifestyle we could give them, the kind of exposures we could give them, which made all the difference. So yes, working women, there may be a time in your life where you feel life is going nowhere and the family is kind of not coming together. But all I can say is hang in there. If you have given your children the best values, you've given the home very good values, you're able to show them that you are here to build a relationship, whether it is cousins, father, mother, in-laws, your own siblings, you must have that time to give them. And when I say time, I'm saying quality time. I'm not saying that you must be at home taking care of them because a guest has come to the house. But you show them by that little time, you show them how much you care for them. That makes all the difference to a family. You don't need to be guilty about pursuing a great career.
I think that also goes a long way with everything. We should be mindful in whatever that we do, so that we are giving quality time to whatever aspect it may be, whether it's family or at the job or whatever. But Seema, over to you. I saw you having a little bit of a smile over there when she was talking about guilt. Was there any guilt pang that you were reminiscing at that point of time?
Not really, actually. Guilty as charged there. I don't have guilt. So I was just, just the contra perspective there. I think, to add to what everyone said. Firstly, just Anshu, going back to what you mentioned about women not growing up the ladder as much, even though we have over 50% workforce as women. We spoke a little bit earlier about broken rung concept. I think that needs to be fixed in the first go itself, where at the beginning of their careers, when they're getting into mid-management, managerial positions, not really the C-suite. I think having enough opportunity available at that time, and then of course looking at shattering the glass ceiling, which everyone's spoken about, which is an invisible barrier. I agree. There are certain aspects of self-doubt. There are certain aspects of guilt which make perhaps women hang in their boots earlier than perhaps men would. But I also feel that I don't want to overemphasize or overhype the gender biasing bit, but you can't negate the existence. It does exist in some form or the other. It may not be in form of career advancement per se. It may be lack of opportunity. It may be lack of equal pay scale. Again, I'm not saying this for any one person or one industry. I think in general, the fact that it exists is why we have so many, so much lesser women in the top C-suite, so to speak. Personally, I think I've been fortunate, like many of us here, and I think we are some of the lucky ones to have reached where we've reached. Some role, of course, luck's played in having a great ecosystem, great support structure. Whether it was at work, having the right opportunity, having right people support you, whether it was your mentors, your bosses, your peers, or even people people who report into you, having their support for you to be able to grow professionally, and then having a support structure at home, not to have that guilt to say that, hey, things are going to run fine. I don't have to be a super mom or a superwoman. Everything's going, everything can run parallelly. I think one is also that acceptance, which of course many of us mention. I've been with Preferred for about 10 years plus, and like I was saying in our previous conversation, over 50% actually of our executive leadership is women, and it is a very diverse culture. So I do feel that I'm blessed, and most of us are blessed in that respect. But I think there is a lot more that needs to be done to make that below 10% grow, and I think to Sunaina's point, to bring it on parity with where men are in terms of holding positions in the C-suite level. So those would be my two bits. I think adding a little bit of personal perspective there.
So you brought on a very, very important point, and I'm going to ask everybody this question. And